Okay. All right, that was our announcement. So since this teaching, the science of mind, the science of mind began as a religious organization where there would be Sunday meetings, the ministers in the organization decided every January that they all would start with exactly the same talk. The topic being the first 4 chapters of The Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And of course, each person gave it their own bent. And I have given this particular talk, I would say at least 22, 23 times of the 25 years that I've been here, probably 25, whatever, because it's the basics of our teaching, but for those of you who have never gotten it before, it's good to hear it for the first time. But also for those of you and me, right, who've read it a gazillion times and we think we know it all, let's pretend like we don't know it all and listen for something that we never heard before. And so as I read chapter 1 of this book called The Thing Itself, or as Susan suggested, I call it The Whole Kit and Caboodle. As I read it, I was looking for what I had never noticed before. And the one thing that I noticed was an opening page. He has in his book, before all the table of contents and everything, for those of you who know, there's that little poem called Peace Be Unto Thee, Stranger, that I knew about, but he also has something else there. These lessons are dedicated to that truth which frees one from themselves and sets that one on the pathway of a new experience, which enables him or her to see through the mist to the eternal and changeless reality. I never noticed that before. Dedicated to the truth that sets us free. I'm also been reading a lot of Emma Curtis Hopkins the past couple of weeks, and she says there is always, no matter what situation you have in your world, there's always that one truth, or that if you touch it, there's a truth that's a touchstone. If you touch it with your thought, everything is healed and transformed. And so we are celebrating our new practitioners, and we have 2 of our new practitioner interns also in the room, and we have more practitioners and our other practitioner or intern all here virtually. So we're all here. That practitioner, whether you're licensed or not, what we are always seeking when we do what we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, what we're working at is touching that truth that changes everything for our client or for ourselves. And so the good news about this is, no matter whether you're a brand new beginner or you've been doing it for 40 some years, which I'm afraid I might be, or something, I don't know. For each one of us, no matter how highly evolved we are, there's always a greater truth to be touched. And so mind, the thing itself, the whole kit and caboodle, we talk about it in the science of mind as mind. It is a movement in our mind. You can even feel it when it happens, right? When you touch a whole new truth that you never thought before, you can actually feel something physically in your head, right? Who's done that? Who's felt it? Okay, all right, everybody's raised their hand. Yep. So it's a movement of thought from whatever you're used to thinking, and it can be great and glorious and true and the best ever. There's something new. Boy, I just got it right now. Rewiring. just finished reading the book Peak, which all of the researchers there that they talked about how the brain rewires whatever you deliberately practice. And so the practitioner is deliberately practicing speaking words of truth until a whole new realization of truth happens to them. And so that's for each one of us. Now, what happens with the client? That's depending upon whatever your or the client's, open and receptive to. They want their good. They want to be healed. They want to be able to, have enough money, whatever it is. That's okay. But the practitioner is not interested in all of that. They are interested in using your presence, your entry into their world, into their thought, and accepting your presence in the oneness that they know, and then speaking truth until everything is changed in their own thinking. And because it's one mind, what the practitioner is knowing in their thinking, it's in this one mind. And because you have asked that practitioner to do that spiritual work for them, then you have united into that one mind, and you are open and receptive to the healing that absolutely manifests as a result of knowing the truth. The truth, as Ernest Holmes says, that sets us free. And the thing about this we want to realize is the truth that set me free last Monday night. I enrolled in another course being taught by a fellow minister. Oh, it's fabulous. And you'll be hearing more about that as I integrate it all, whatever. But anyway, I was in the class, and I had a whole new realization of truth, and I've been working with that. And everything in my life, my world, is changing. And we go for that. Every time a practitioner, or which each of you is a practitioner, you might not be licensed, but you're practicing knowing the truth, and that will set you free, and you're doing wherever you're at. So that the highest and the greatest evolve will get that whole new realization. And beginners, hey, you begin with where you're at, and all you have to know is just like the beginning of the teeniest little bit of truth, and it sets you free. You don't have to, if you're doing spiritual prayer for yourself, you don't have to know the highest truth that Ernest Holmes would know if he was here now talking to us, which would be, beyond anything, because it's like 100 years of him knowing the truth. Can you imagine? But you don't have to know that truth that sets his thinking into a whole new realm of embodiment of the one. When you're doing that spiritual work for yourself, you only have to know that great new idea that comes to you. And that's the thing. So maybe you never thought of that treatment that I gave before at the beginning of this. The all good is that the oneness means I am included. That might be the one, you never heard it before, you never realized it before, it never sunk in before. You're like, wait a minute, all good requires that, I'm part of the one, can't help it. And so my good has to be included in the all good. Oh, that alone might set you free, right? So each one of us as a practitioner, we begin with the thinking we've got, however high or low it might be, and we begin speaking words of truth until something clicks. When I was first working with this teaching, I studied with Dr. Stuart Grayson in New York City, and he shared his own story about how he was unemployed and miserable, blah, blah, blah. And he went into his room and sat with the Science of Mind textbook and read and read and read truth for 2 to 3 days. He kept reading it until something in him clicked. And then it did. And he went out, and everything in his life changed, and he got a fabulous job and blah, 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 blah. And hearing that, I did that myself. it seems like I had been very stable in my work experience my whole life until I got into this teaching, and then blah, blah, blah. It was like job after job after job after job. But I was in this teaching, and so every time I was in between positions, I was like, I did what Dr. Grayson did. I went into my room with the textbook, and I began reading it, and I'm thinking, okay, it's only going to take 2 days. And I'd be just, reading it for 2 days. I'd take breaks, whatever, but I'd be studying and studying. And yes, every single time something new broke up open in me. And as soon as that happened, I did a treatment. I am now fully employed at whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I swear there were times when the phone rang and it was my next job. That's the power of knowing the truth. And what he tells us in this chapter is, it is done unto us as much as we believe. And so every time we do this affirmative prayer, we are seeking to expand our belief, because we already have the good that is brought to us by the belief we've got. And we might not like it. I want some more. Not enough. Want another one. Want some more. Right? And so we do a spiritual mind treatment to know more truth, which then must result in something great and wonderful in our lives, limited only by what we believe. And so we check our beliefs. What am I believing? And we're not ashamed or embarrassed by what we're believing, because we're all believing something. And as someone said, and I like it, we're probably all pretty much at the same level of consciousness, because we can see each other. And if somebody was really highly evolved, they might see us, but we wouldn't see them. They would just be so, radiating at such a frequency, ascended up or whatever. I don't know. But the thing is that we're all in this experience of knowing our oneness together, and like attracts like. So yeah, if you're human now, here on this planet right now, then the thing is, then there's nothing that you might be believing that you need to be ashamed about or embarrassed about or feeling alone about. I'm the only one who hasn't gotten it yet. No. I know of someone who got tested positive for that which I shall not name. You can name whatever you want. But was feeling bad that happened. And the thing is the truth that sets me free as I think about that is, it is not false perfection out there in the world that we're going for. Even when we're doing a spiritual mind treatment, it's the truth that sets us free. And we've all, because truth is infinite possibilities. There's always going to be the next step for every single one of us. And so it doesn't matter what your particular condition looks like right now. It really doesn't matter. You are no worse. You're no better than anybody else. You're like everybody else. That's it. We're here together. That's it. But you're not limited by all of us here together and what the world is doing. Every one of us has the possibility of knowing a greater truth that will heal us, that will set us free of any condition we are experiencing in the world. And as I like to say, and maybe I'm quoting from somebody else who can remember, the thing is, if there is a problem in your world, it is an invitation for a greater truth to be known by you. And the divine is always offering us another invitation, right? Does anyone have a day go by where you are not invited to know more truth? I mean, it's like a 24/7, no more truth, no more truth, no more truth. I mean, I do tell the divine every once in a while, okay, enough. Let me just drift on the truth that I know. It's good enough, okay, right? But yeah, you could get away with it for a while, but then it calls you for more, and it calls you for more. And so the science of mind, This teaching is about recognizing there is a truth, which when I contemplate in my thinking, sets me free. And you don't get that truth from what you've already thought. So it can't be, oh, I already know it. That's not the thought that will set you free. If you already know something, you've already manifested the demonstration of that which you already knew. So that's great. You know it, good. Move on, because there is a greater truth for you to know. And this world is created. You can see your entire world, every problem, every trouble, every discomfort, every issue, as an invitation to know a greater truth. And you can pick any spot in your world you want. Like when I first came into this teaching, the big question was, where should I start? Where should I start? Where should I start? Now that I've been in this for 40 years or whatever, I know it doesn't matter where you start, because there's only one truth, the next truth that will set you free. You can pick anything, and it's going to be that one truth that sets you free, and you don't know what it is, but it will come to you. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter. Pick something, but start. The science of mind is about people. Normal, day-to-day, blah, 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 people. Me, you, right? Who are practicing using thought to affect our experience in the world. We practice. So we have that word practitioner. And we practice everywhere about anything and everything. It's exciting. It's something that's never over. The thrill of a new demonstration is that next shift in your mind that happens is intoxicating. And then you get the good that goes along with it. When I first came into this teaching, and if you're a newbie, the carrot that the divine mind offers is a particular good, right? A particular good. I got to get a carrot. Hang on, here's a carrot. It's a carrot. It's a little carrot. It's a Post-it, but it looks like a carrot, a little yellow carrot. Okay. So for me, when I first came into this teaching, it was like, my life is miserable. I hate my job. Give me a new job. I don't want to change my consciousness. I don't want to love God more. I want a miracle. I want to go to Dr. Stuart Grayson, and I want him to do a treatment that I am an actress. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm an actress. So I did that. I did not wake up the next morning as an actress. In fact, when I went to him, he said, well, Karen, how are you going to support yourself as an actress if you quit your job? I'm like, what? That's not this teaching. Why isn't he practicing his own teaching? I don't understand. It doesn't matter. Just get him to do that woo-woo prayer. It'll happen. But it didn't. However, things started happening and I started changing in my life, so that 3 years later, I was an actress full-time. I was financially supported. I had left my employment as a banker, and I was having a ball for as long as I wanted to do that. It was the carrot that got me going. And yeah, it was on the level of the superficial, and definitely I was the clueless one, but it was enough to start the process so that now, look at me. God got me good, right? And that's the intention, to keep knowing the truth that sets us free, knowing the truth that sets us free, knowing it, knowing it, knowing it, and knowing that you will never be done. There's no such thing as being perfect. I've arrived. It doesn't exist. I've arrived a gazillion times. There's always more, more, more. That word more is God's word. It's not a human word. It's not a selfish word. It's about opening up to the more. He says, mind, the thing, spirit, causation, is beyond and yet not beyond our grasp. Beyond in that it is so big. Within in that wherever we grasp at it, we are it to the extent that we grasp it mentally. I get it, I get it, I get it. But since it is infinite, we can never encompass it. It's like that drop in the ocean, right? The ocean is the all, and each one of us is a drop in that ocean. We contain all the qualities of that ocean, but we can never be the entire ocean because the ocean is infinite. We can become a bigger and bigger drip in the ocean. And you notice the thing about a drop of water? Well, it's in the ocean, right? It's all it knows is the water and its oneness with the all, right? If we separate from the ocean, right? Leave it. There we are, a perfectly formed drop, but the world can get to it and the sun can dry it up. We evaporate. So being in that ocean and realizing that it's infinite and that we are a part of the infinite. And then he says, to learn how to think is to learn how to live. For our thoughts go into a medium, that ocean, that is infinite in its ability to do and to be. And each one of us, by thinking, right? Inviting the truth, whatever, can bring into our experience whatever we desire if we think correctly and become a living embodiment of our thoughts. And so as we desire to experience more harmony and more love, we have to think correctly about it. So if love is your word for the year, right? And you want to know more and more love, I'll give you a little tip. You have to stop saying the word they. They are this, they are that, they are this. Because wherever you say they, you are not embodying divine love. So you might not want to pick love. Just saying. So it is impossible to plumb the depths of this mind that we are using, because behind us is the universal which has no limits. But in this realization that the infinite ocean is all ours to take, we have the possibility of eternal and endless expansion. So going back to the ocean now, rather than being a drip or a drop, as I think of myself as the wave. And the wave can be thought of as on the surface, but how deep does the wave go? And being the wave on that surface of the ocean, what we realize as a practitioner is that the depths of who I am as a wave go deeper and deeper into the ocean. Right? Right? Where can you draw the line? That's the end of the wave. There's no line to be drawn. The whole movement of the ocean, the whole ocean, is behind that uppermost, what we see, that wave, which is us. But it's only as we, the wave, realize that we have the full backing and support of the entire ocean in our movement of thought. As we realize that, then we do experience that. And so the one thing that the science of mind teaches us is to, and maybe the truth that continuously gets revealed to us, right, is that belief in separation is a lie. It's not my mind and your mind. We're not talking, when we talk about mind, we're not talking about brains. Okay, I got it. You got your brain, I got my brain. The brain is a vehicle that the infinite mind creates to use in its contemplation of itself through a human body in a human world in a human experience. But the brain is formed from the thoughts that are entertained by the thinker that is receiving a body to use to move on this planet. And it's never done forming that vehicle, that brain. There is no end to the circuits and the connections that could be created on that physical level unless the thinker decides, well, that's it. I'm old. I can't change my thought. Or the scientific studies prove that, after a certain age, the brain is all wired, you can't do whatever. None of it is scientifically proven anymore. If you read that book, Peak, it just opened up all my thinking of what is possible on the brain level. But we're not talking about the brain level. We're not talking about the human body. We're talking about the thinker that we are, the wave that we are, and that the divine mind creates a fitting vehicle to think the thoughts that the thinker wants to think. Boy, I should say that again if I could remember it. But the body is created to be a vehicle to be used in this human earthly realm to express the thoughts that the occupant wants to think in this world. And being a practitioner, anyone can do this stuff. Anyone can realize this stuff. And if you look through history, there's the mystics and philosophers and poets and all sorts of people who have come into that realization on their own. And some of them, in coming into the realization, boom, a whole new organization, a whole new world religion is formed. That's the power of the truth that an individualized expression of the divine, meaning a person chose to think. The Buddha, Jesus, Gandhi, Martin Luther King. These people, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Mary Baker Eddy, they kept, no matter where they were, they kept demanding, but there's more truth, there's more truth, there's more truth. They just kept following the lead of thought, unfolding to greater thought. And as they did, truth was touched that's far beyond what the average person entertains or invites into their world. But they did that. And they started where they began, which is what we do. We start where we began, but the truth that was available to them is available to us. But we have to take that journey of walking along that path of thought, from thought to thought to thought. That's why I personally love being a practitioner. This is why I love being a practitioner. It came upon me that it's much better to know the truth for someone else's problems than to create my own problems to know the truth about. Because the same amount of truth to be known would be present whether it's my issues or someone else's issues. It's a challenge to my consciousness of knowing the truth, whether it be for my client or for myself. Yeah, one mind. And that truth that is touched by anyone, anywhere, is everywhere. And so that's our teaching of the science of mind. Oh. Reverend Rich is getting ready. He's like, science. She's gonna wind down now. I gotta adjust. Because you're right, you're not in the same place when you first sat down. Who knows where we are right now, because everything's changed. Because I know that every single one of us has heard some truth, maybe because of what was babbled out of me, but definitely because of the train of thought going on in each one of your own head, which is individual, but is designed to lead you from whatever great truth you had known into just a little bit more. Boom, the truth that sets you free. Yeah. So I expect tremendous shifts in all of our conditions because of this. And because we have about 50 practitioners and interns in the room and virtually, it's like it just keeps on coming. So having said that, oh, I've got an applause from one of the practitioners. There we go. So let's sit with all that. And for each one of us, just follow that train of thinking that's been activated in your own thought. And when I come back, I'll do a spiritual mind treatment. And then we'll move into our practitioner licensing ceremony. So let's do that now. Reverend Rich, help us out here.
Okay.